All right, we're going to send it right over to Belen de Leon. You're tracking these winds throughout the day today because there's still such a fire threat.
There is. Lynette and Adrian, the winds picking up again as we head into late this morning during the early afternoon. Here we are looking at the current conditions. I do have some good news. That high wind warning that we had in place yesterday has been lifted, taking its place wind advisory. So the winds are still present, but not as strong as what we had in previous days. And right now, when we check out this wind gust map, you can see the difference. Still pretty windy through the I-5 corridor, the Santa Clarita Valley, all the way towards Ventura County near Oxnard. As we head into the afternoon, gradually we're going to see those winds improve, and the weather's still very dry, which is why that red flag warning is still in place until 6 p.m. As we head into Thursday, much better conditions, although there will still be some lingering winds through the I-5 corridor, the LA County mountains, and low humidity. This is why a red flag warning has been extended in this area through tomorrow afternoon. So we're almost there, not quite yet. Don't let your guard down. Now, the other thing I want to point out, the very cold temperatures, especially in the deserts. We have a freeze warning in effect for our friends over in Lancaster. It's chilly everywhere else. Numbers right now in the 50s and 40s. Here's your forecast for this Wednesday. These offshore winds are going to boost our temperatures into the 70s today. If you are in those wind sheltered locations, a pleasant day. And everywhere else, you will notice those winds gradually diminishing. We do have some changes to talk about in your first alert forecast for the good. For right now, let's check on the drive. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning. The drive is a little slow rolling through South LA. We have this injury crash still active in the cleanup and clearing stages. West 105 at the 110 split. It's where a car driver spun out, hit the center divide, and that vehicle flipped over several times. Someone was trapped inside of that vehicle. So as they work with this, the traffic is backing up a couple of miles here. Definitely consider Imperial heading west as opposed to westbound 105. That'll help you out. That'll get you around some of that slow traffic. The drive time's on the rise, not awful, but very sluggish. 20 minutes and growing for West 105 from the 605 split heading over to LAX. We'll peek at more freeways and more drive times coming up in a little bit. Lynette, Adrian, back to you.
All right, Robin, thank you.
Again, we need to get through the next 12, 13 hours or so, and hopefully things are going to improve after that. But it's not just the wind, it's also how dry it's been, right?
Yes, exactly. And I'll take a look at the humidity in just a minute. We're going to start to see some changes in the next few days that's going to improve our fire danger, but that's not today. Fire risk is still critical as winds continue and expected to peak late this morning during the early afternoon. The winds are expected to ease Thursday, but because of the continued dry conditions, red flag warnings have been extended. Now, a cooling trend is on the way from Friday through the weekend, and the reason why that's significant is that's going to bring some higher humidity and lower our fire danger. Then next week, the weather, unfortunately, will continue to be dry, and we may see those winds redevelop. Now, here's a look at that red flag warning. It's still in effect until 6 p.m., and the National Weather Service has shifted the timing of this particularly dangerous situation red flag warning until 3 a.m. this morning and 3 p.m. this afternoon. This is when we're expecting the strongest winds over this area, and the areas of focus and concern: the I-5 corridor to the north of Santa Clarita, western and northern San Fernando Valley from San Fernando to Porter Ranch, and the 118 and 210 corridor, as well as the Ventura County. This is where if any fires were to start, they would really spread quickly. Now, some good news, that high wind warning that was in place over the LA Ventura County mountains has been lifted. The wind's not expected to be as strong, but we're not out of the woods. That has been replaced with a wind advisory. It is a lower level advisory, but still could cause some concern, especially when you're getting behind the wheel. This could toss around any loose objects and cause some crosswinds. Also, tree damage and power outage is a possibility. This in place until 6 o'clock this afternoon. That is really the time frame that we're looking. Once we get past that time, then the winds will be much better. Here's a look at the gust futurecast, and I'll set it in motion. And those wind-prone spots, we'll be seeing those winds increase around sunrise and through the middle of the day. Here we are looking at the weather at noon. Gusts in Santa Clarita up to 34, Oxnard 33, but there will be a few pockets with wind gusts between 40 to 50 miles per hour. Still seeing some gusty conditions through the Inland Empire and over into Orange County at that time. And then here we are looking at the weather at 6 p.m. Again, this is when that wind advisory and that red flag warning, it expires for most. Now, I'll take you into tomorrow morning. Notice how the winds ease for many of us, but they remain active through the I-5 corridor, the Santa Clarita Valley. This is where that red flag warning has been extended through tomorrow afternoon because of the continued gusty conditions and also that low humidity. Now, the other thing I want to point out, similar to yesterday, it was a cold morning. This morning, we are going to have a freeze warning in effect for the high desert, so take those precautions. Eventually, those temperatures are going to be warming into the 70s today. Here's your 7-day forecast, where we are going to see the numbers cooling after today, humidity rising, clouds increasing. In fact, this weekend, the basin in Orange County will have 50s and 60s with more cloud cover, but notice that sunshine returns early next week. That's when the weather could get windy again, and you notice I have no rain icons here, so unfortunately it's going to stay dry. The weather in the valleys at Inland Empire, one more windy day tomorrow. Better for the IEs, still breezy in the valleys, and you notice those numbers dropping into the 60s as we head into the weekend. The forecast for the high desert, low desert, 60s, 70s today. Temperatures pretty much holding steady as we head into the weekend, cooling a few degrees, especially in the low desert. And in the mountains, we've got some dry, windy weather today, tomorrow, and then the weather improving over the weekend. That's your forecast, everyone. Please be safe now and check a traffic. Here's Robin.
Thank you, Belen. We're going to check in on our biggest trouble spot. That's a traffic alert here in South LA. I talked about this earlier, and now CHP has issued a special traffic alert for this, saying that it's going to take maybe another 30, 40 minutes or so to get it cleared. It happened in the 3 o'clock hour, West 105 at the 110 split. A driver spun out, hit the center divide. The vehicle flipped over several times, and someone was trapped inside. So as they deal with this, your two middle lanes are blocked. Your backup is growing. It's not awful, but it's a couple of miles. So you may want to consider Imperial Highway instead of West 105, because that'll get you around some of the slow traffic. But as soon as you pass the scene, the rest of the trip continuing west on the 105 looks really good. The drive time slowly on the rise, but still not bad. 21 minutes to make it from the 605 split over to LAX. Other spots are looking good, like South 5 from East LA all the way down to Buena Park. The 710 Alhambra to PCH entering Long Beach is looking good. The 605 looks good too. Under 15 minutes here from the 10 down to the 105. We'll pick at some more numbers coming up a little bit later. Lynette, back to you.
All right, Robin, thank you.